Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. On this episode of Red Carpet, we have a new DC art exhibit featuring black women artists, a Kenyan designer finds a new career in fashion, and we take a look at some of the black actors in consideration to play the new 007. Let's go. And let's start the show with some highlights of the latest entertainment news from around the world. In some film news, Egypt is expected to miss out on the Best International Film Oscar competition for 2022. That's according to Egyptian media reports confirmed by Deadline. The Committee of Critics and Cinema Professionals responsible for selecting the country's submission decided not to send a film for the lack of a credible candidate. Now, despite submitting films for the Best International Film category and its foreign language predecessor since 1958, Egypt has never won the award or been nominated. And in some music news, Nigeria's self-proclaimed African giant Burna Boy's smash hit single Last Last has reached #1 on the United States urban radio charts. Additionally, the gold-certified song reached the Billboard Hot 100 and made Burna Boy one of the world's most successful African musicians, along with fellow Nigerian Wizkid. And in more film news, the race to choose the next James Bond has heated up ever since Daniel Craig announced his retirement from the highly successful franchise. Many high-profile actors have been tipped to play the tuxedo-wearing super agent, including black actors and women. Let's take a look at some of the black actors in consideration for the role.
Rage John Page proved his status as a heartthrob in the hit Netflix series Bridgerton and blockbuster The Gray Man. His performances have earned him many fans who would love to see him as the next 007. Irish actor Daryl McCormack has established himself as a strong screen presence playing in tough guy TV shows like Peaky Blinders and Vikings, making him an ideal candidate for many James Bond fans. John Boyega is another name being mentioned for the 007 role. Boyega, who already has a huge franchise with Star Wars under his belt, is being considered by some fans who would like to see a more youthful Bond. Although the producers of the Bond franchise have made it clear that they are looking for a man to fill Daniel Craig's shoes as 007, many fans have been calling for a female Bond. Star of the award-winning miniseries I May Destroy You, Michaela Coel is included in the mix alongside fellow Brit Lashana Lynch, whose character Nomi from the film No Time to Die took over the 007 mantle in the film after Daniel Craig's Bond's death. BAFTA winner Chiwetel Ejiofor has starred in many blockbusters including Steven Spielberg's Amistad and Ridley Scott's American Gangster. Ever since he received an Oscar nomination for his role in the hit 12 Years a Slave, the actor has continued to be linked with the 007 role. Widely considered as the people's choice to take over from Daniel Craig, Idris Elba is no stranger to the 007 rumor mill. And with several actors, producers, and directors campaigning for him to land the role, Elba seems an ideal choice to don the Bond tux.
And in some art news, a Washington, D.C. Best Curator has collaborated with African art gallery and boutique Zawadi on an exhibit titled What Shall I Tell My Children Who Are Black?, which features the works of several black women artists in the Washington metropolitan area. Red Carpet spoke to the curator and artists about the event. Let's take a look.
What Shall I Tell My Children Who Are Black? An art exhibit inspired by a poem by Dr. Margaret Burroughs, founder of the DuSable Black History Museum, is a celebration of the artistic creativity of black women in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Adam Odomere is the curator of the exhibit.
And so the show itself is titled What Shall I Tell My Children Who Are Black?, which comes from a poem by Margaret Burroughs. It's the title of that poem. And Margaret Burroughs is the first African-American poet who actually founded the DuSable Museum, the first black museum in Chicago. That poem really spoke to me, but it's taking that title of that poem and sort of like reimagining it. Sort of like thinking about telling my children about blackness, but in the sense of your blackness holds you back, or living, with your black skin is something that people see and fear. But it's more about telling them about their wholeness, their peace, to reclaim their identity for themselves. It's repurposing that and sort of reimagining a future where black children and black people are thriving and have the tools and resources to live a good and healthy life.
Kibian Adams and Candice Noel RX featured in the exhibit.
I am a Guyanese-born, Caribbean-raised, abstract figurative artist. I've been painting since about 2015, and my work is influenced mostly by spirit.
I started out creating digital illustrations, and over time I've transitioned into creating wooden art as well. I really like to use wood as a medium because it is natural, and I feel like using wood and using stain for the wood and letting the natural grain of the wood shine through is a really nice nod to the natural beauty of my subjects, which are typically black women or black people in general.
The exhibit is the first collaboration between Zawadi and curator Adam Odomere. Odomere, an artist and memory worker working as a museum assistant at the Phillips Collection Museum in Washington, D.C., spoke about the importance of physical art exhibits in an era of NFTs and other digital art forms.
I'm a purist first. I think purist in the sense that I love physical art. I like to look at it. I'm an artist. I like to create it with my hands. It's not so much digital, which allows for different changes to happen. But I feel like the process of actually creating physical art and having that and living in your space and engaging with it daily allows you to sort of see things outside of yourself if you really sort of see the art, maybe what the artist intended.
And now to some fashion news. Ankara or kitenge, which is the textile used to make African prints, has become an icon for African identity and gained international attention. Cecilia Awor, a young Kenyan designer, started a tailoring shop that made Ankara attire in Nairobi, Kenya for both the domestic and international markets. We have more on our story.
I used to be a cabin crew, and I've worked before as a waitress. There was a lot of sexual harassment because of the kind of clothes we are wearing. So somebody can come and just punk you, but you can't complain. Why? Because that's not your job. One day I just woke up, resigned, and I said because I had enough training as a fashion and designer, like a tailor, I got tired with that job and told them, you know what, it's enough.
Just like that, Cecilia Awoko quit her 9-to-5 job and opened this designer shop in Joroko Market in Nairobi, Kenya. In 3 years, she expanded into 2 shops and hired a couple people to support her business. I paid a visit to her shop and decided to become a customer myself.
You like this because it's your outfit, you're the one who's going to wear it.
I like them
So you
both.
tell me.
With the kind of service she offers, a customer can pick the fabrics, learn about the culture.
African prints came from Western Africa. But with Nigerians and Ghanaians, they like bright colors. But you can still get this one's African print because they started with some things like this. Just give up.
Communicate with her on the design, get measurements, fitting, and adjustment in a week. Awoko says her experience as a mom inspired her to create mother-daughter matching outfits.
She's my model because she was a tiny Miss Kenya 2016. So she's really good with photos. And yeah, sometimes she helped me to do the finishing. And then when we are done, we are our own models. We market our thing by ourselves. Like I don't hire models to wear my brand. We are our own brand. Yeah, so she really helped me a lot because you realize most of the clients, they'll order outfits because of her, not because of me. Because even now, if you see we are matching, you just note, wow, you guys look good. Can I get the same outfit?
I like modeling for my mom. Especially she calls me a lot because I really give her a lot of clients. My favorite part is putting the buttons, putting the pockets, and designing it.
Just like many entrepreneurs, Cecilia Awoko has gone through many adversities in the effort to run her own company. Her inspiration, though, has been able to work on her passion, gain financial freedom, promote African identity, along with unlimited growth potential, things she could never get from her previous jobs.
It was a risk, because if that did happen, I don't think I could have resigned where I was working. So yes, and I'm just grateful that I'm doing what I like. I'm making people smile. So I started this brand because of that. Trust me, I won't disappoint you.
For VOA News, I'm Abby Sun from Nairobi, Kenya.
Now, do you ever have those questions like, what is the future going to look like? Well, flying cars, high-speed ports that carry people. Will this be among the next technological breakthroughs? VOA's Julie Tebo visited an exhibit that made some predictions about our future.
Imagine being transported from New York to Washington in less than 30 minutes, or taking off in a self-driving air taxi to avoid traffic. It may seem the stuff of science fiction, but these are just a few examples of the ways technology is evolving to potentially transform fantasy into reality. Both were part of a recent exhibit at the Smithsonian Arts and Industries Building in Washington. Artifacts of the past were presented alongside prototypes of leading-edge technologies of the future.
We wanted to look at different ways that we could instill hope and optimism in some of the decisions that we think are going to be what impacts our future.
True technological breakthroughs don't happen often. More common is trying something, failing, and then trying again. The result can change lives.
What we've been able to do is draw lines of connection between some early prototypes and then see how more contemporary designs have been able to put in uses that are different from maybe the intention of the original object.
Is it reacting for me?
Technology, says Molise, can offer hope for the future, a reminder that it's up to all of us to help make a difference.
My future looks warm.
Julie Tabo, VOA News, Washington.
And let's head down to Cape Town, South Africa, where an engineering team that encourages children into STEM subjects is leading by example on the big stage. The team recently took part in a major solar car race. Let's take a look.
Africa's biggest solar car race returned to the streets of South Africa last week. The CyCy Solar Challenge sees engineering teams from across the world driving their sun-powered vehicles on public roads from Johannesburg to Cape Town. Among competitors this year was Solar Flare. It's a team of residents from Mpumalanga province who have, for the last 10 years, been running a project to get school children involved in science, technology, engineering and maths. Classy Bota is Solar Flare's team manager.
And what we've been doing is running a program where they construct a vehicle and race it over an hour on a racetrack. And we've structured it in such a way that it really works very well for kids that are from disadvantaged communities.
The biennial CyCy Solar Challenge was postponed in 2020 amid the global health crisis. This year's winners were from Delft University in the Netherlands. It is the fourth consecutive time the Brunel Solar team has emerged victorious.
And with that, we come to the end of our show today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, where you can watch our videos. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone.